My beloved child, there is a kind of freedom that you can only step into when you learn how to let go without allowing your heart to become bitter. I have not called you to carry resentment, but neither have I told you to reopen a door that I closed in order to protect you. Forgiveness is so that your soul may be released from the chains of pain. Whether or not you continue walking with someone is a matter of wisdom. There are people you may bless in prayer, but you cannot allow them to keep entering the deepest places of your life. There are relationships that must be laid down in peace, not because you hate them, but because you have recognized that their presence disturbs my voice within your heart. As it is written, guard your heart above all else, for from it flow the springs of life. If you keep allowing hands that no longer honor the truth to touch the source of your life, you will become weary from fighting waves that I never told you to carry. I know that you once blamed yourself for trusting, for opening your heart, for believing that your sincerity could make others become sincere. But my child, a tender heart is not a mistake. Trust is not foolishness when it is born from love. What I am teaching you today is not to live suspicious of everyone, but to discern who is permitted to come close to your life in this new season. Jesus said, "Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." Do you see? I do not want you to lose your purity, but I also do not want you to walk without vigilance. Love does not mean ignoring every warning sign. Mercy does not require you to remain where deception continues to wound you. There are things I expose not so that you may retaliate, but so that you may be rescued. Truth often does not come with a loud noise, but through small, repeated details, through a careless word, an inconsistent action, or the peace that leaves your heart every time you draw near to that person. Do not take lightly what I have allowed you to see. When my light touches a dark place, every covering will sooner or later be unable to stand. But you must be careful. Do not allow the truth to turn you into someone harsh and bitter. Do not use what I reveal to feed pride. And do not rush everywhere trying to prove that you were right. I am the one who defends you. As the word in Exodus declares, the Lord will fight for his people, and they shall hold their peace. There are battles you win not through answering back, but through holy silence before me. Remember Abraham and Lot. My beloved child, they once walked on the same journey, shared the same land, and stayed close to one another for a season. But when conflict arose between their herdsmen, Abraham did not try to hold everything together through tension. He chose peace and said to Lot that there should be no strife between them, for they were brothers. Then the two separated. That did not mean Abraham hated Lot. On the contrary, when Lot was in danger, Abraham still went out to rescue him. But that separation opened a new space for Abraham to hear my voice more clearly. After Lot departed, I spoke to Abraham about the land and the promise prepared for him. Do you see? Sometimes there are promises that can only be heard clearly after an unsuitable connection has been laid down. Separation and peace can be the doorway that leads you into the expansion I have prepared. Therefore, when I lead you out of a relationship, do not be quick to see it as a loss. Perhaps you are grieving something familiar, but I am saving you from a long season of depletion. Perhaps you are hurting because you must step away from someone who was once close, but I am lightening your soul so that you can enter what is new without being pulled backward by another person's doubt, fear, and chaos. Not everyone who walked with you in the old season has the character to enter the new one. Some people are only permitted to witness one part of the journey. Some are only a lesson. Some are a mirror through which you learn discernment. And some I must separate from you because they do not honor the holy thing I have placed in your life. Do not try to drag into the future what I have already removed from the present. I want you to understand that boundaries are not a lack of love. Boundaries are the fence of wisdom. Even Jesus, the one full of grace and truth, did not entrust himself to everyone because he knew what was in their hearts. You are allowed to love without granting access. You are allowed to pray for someone without returning to the old cycle. You are allowed to truly forgive and still keep walking on the path I am opening before you. Do not let anyone use the name of love to force you back into the place from which I have delivered you. Love that comes from me brings life, order, and peace. But bondage disguised as love often brings weariness, sin, manipulation, and fear. When the truth is revealed, keep your heart pure. Do not seek to humiliate others. For my righteousness does not need your angry hands in order to be fulfilled. Do not speak words that make your soul become like the very thing that wounded you. Let your mouth be guarded, so that your heart will not be poisoned by revenge. As I have spoken, vengeance is mine, I will repay. Your part is to walk uprightly. Keep your heart tender. Choose what is true, and allow me to handle the rest. When you do not defend yourself according to the flesh, you make room for me to reveal justice in a higher way. And when I bring all things into the light, not one distorted accusation will be able to stand before the light. My child, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. But you must remember that freedom does not always come like a comforting embrace. Sometimes it comes as an awakening that requires you to leave what once felt familiar. I do not condemn you because you did not recognize it before. I do not blame you for having hoped, for having been patient, for having given more chances. But today, now that I have opened your eyes, do not pretend that you have not seen. Spiritual maturity begins when you know how to obey the light I have given. Forgive so that your heart may be clean. Let go so that your steps may become light. Trust me enough to leave what no longer belongs to you. I am leading you into a wider place, where peace is no longer traded away, where my voice becomes clearer than the noise of chaos, and where you are free to live according to what I ordained for you from the beginning. My beloved child, there are seasons when I do not merely lead you forward, but gently draw you away from things that seem familiar, yet were quietly exhausting your soul. Not every attachment comes from true love, and not every hand that once held yours was sent to lift you up. There are connections that begin with sweet words, but slowly become a soft cord wrapped around your heart, making it hard for you to breathe while you keep telling yourself that you must endure it in order to keep the peace. My child, I have not called you to live in bitterness or suspicion, but neither do I want you to confuse kindness with permitting others to cross the boundary of peace I have placed within you. As it is written, guard your heart above all else, for from that hidden place, the flow of your life pours forth. When your heart becomes clouded by a toxic relationship, it becomes difficult for you to hear my voice clearly, difficult to recognize the path I am opening, and difficult to stand firm in the grace I am preparing for you. Perhaps many times you have blamed yourself for sensing that something was not right. You wondered whether you were too sensitive, too soft, or too easily wounded. But I want you to understand that spiritual discernment does not always come like thunder shaking the heavens. Many times, it is only a quiet heaviness in the heart, a feeling of dryness after every encounter, a silent uneasiness when you hear words that appear caring but leave a scratch within you. I once said, "My sheep hear my voice," and my voice not only guides you to green pastures, but also warns you to stay away from deep pits covered with fresh grass. Do not disregard the moments when your soul draws back. Do not bury the warning simply because you fear being seen as not merciful enough. True compassion does not force you to remain where you are being drained. True forgiveness does not mean continuing to hand over the keys of your life to someone who does not honor the holy thing within you. I know that person was once close to you during important moments. Perhaps they once spoke words that gave you comfort, appeared as a companion, and made you believe that their presence was a blessing. But, my beloved child, there are people who enter your life not to build an altar with you, but to observe where you are weak. Remember where your heart is easily softened, and then use your trust itself as an entrance. This does not mean you must condemn them, for final judgment belongs to me, but you must learn to recognize the fruit of a tree. Jesus said that by their fruit you will know them. So do not listen only to words. Look at the results they leave within you. After being near them, are you filled with more peace or more confusion? Are you encouraged to draw closer to me? Or are you pulled into comparison, fear, sin, and self-doubt? These questions are not meant to harden your heart, but to help you see the truth with eyes that have been anointed. Remember the story of King Jehoshaphat. He was a man whose heart sought the Lord. Yet there was a time when he formed an alliance with Ahab, a king who walked in a corrupted way. That connection seemed honorable at first glance, seemed reasonable, seemed to bring strength, but within it lay the seed of danger. When Ahab invited him into battle, many pleasing prophetic words were spoken, but only Micaiah spoke the true word from God. Truth does not always make the ears comfortable, but it saves the soul from a deadly trap. Do you see? Sometimes the greatest danger does not come from an open enemy, but from an alliance decorated with a beautiful name. I preserved Jehoshaphat, but he had to learn that not everyone who invites you onto the same battlefield is truly walking under the same light. Therefore, when I cause a bond in your life to become heavy, when I allow you to see the distortion you once overlooked, it is not because I am causing you loss. It is because I am rescuing you from a battle that does not belong to you. So do not fear the moment when you must let go. There are doors that only open when your hand stops holding on to what has already passed its season. There are blessings that only begin to flow when you no longer allow an old connection to occupy the place of new obedience. I am not telling you to leave in anger. I am not telling you to answer with bitter words. And I am certainly not telling you to wound someone in order to prove that you were right. I am teaching you to walk in disciplined peace, with a humble heart that is not weak, in holy silence that is no longer controlled. As it is written, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. But that word does not require you to compromise with darkness in order to maintain the appearance of calm. There are times when the most beautiful form of peace is to step back, pray, forgive, and let me judge the things you cannot repair by yourself. I also want you to understand that my exposure is not meant to make you afraid, but to restore your freedom to you. When my light shines upon a relationship, what was hidden no longer has the power to rule over you in silence. Half-truths mixed with lies, kind gestures that lack purity, presences that cause you to lose your own voice. All of these will gradually be revealed under the searching light of the Holy Spirit. You do not need to chase after anyone to force them to admit what they have done. You do not need to explain yourself too much to those who have already decided to misunderstand you. I am the one who sees in the secret place. And the Lord does not look at what man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance. But I look at the heart. Let that truth become a place of rest for you. When you no longer have to protect yourself through anxiety, you will see that I protect you through wisdom. Perhaps separating from that person causes you pain, because you once gave your heart sincerely. I do not take your tears lightly. I know the feeling of having something familiar cut away from your life, like a branch being pruned from a tree. But my child, a gardener does not prune a tree because he hates it, but because he wants it to bear more fruit. What I am cutting away today is so that your roots will no longer be drained by an unclean source. What I am taking from your hand is so that the same hand may be empty enough to receive the good thing I am about to give. Do not call deliverance loneliness. Do not call protection loss. Do not call awakening tragedy. This is a season in which I am bringing you out of emotional dependence and leading you into spiritual maturity, where you love others with a pure heart but place your ultimate trust in me alone. Therefore, walk slowly, but decisively. Ask me to give you the tenderness not to become bitter, and the strength not to return to the old chains simply because you miss what felt familiar. Let this word remain in your heart. The truth will set you free. Truth may cause you to tremble at first, but in the end, it opens the door of the prison you once thought was a home. I am bringing you into a more spacious place, where peace is no longer exchanged for silent endurance, where love is no longer mistaken for control, and where kindness is no longer exploited as a weakness. My beloved child, trust me in this letting go. When you leave what is toxic in obedience, you are not stepping into emptiness, you are stepping into my arms, where grace has been waiting for you for a long time. My beloved child, there are times when you think obedience is only a small choice in the day, a quiet decision among many things pulling your heart in different directions. But in my eyes, every time you choose to follow what I have spoken, you are stepping into a deeper covering of grace. You are not merely changing your outward direction, you are entering a new order in the spiritual realm, where my light surrounds you like a fortified wall, where evil things are stopped by my hand before they can even touch you. My word says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. Do you see? Obedience is not the loss of freedom. Obedience is allowing me to lead you away from paths whose dangers your eyes have not yet fully seen. Many times I have protected you so quietly that you did not even know what you had just been rescued from. An appointment was postponed. A plan suddenly fell apart. A door you wanted to enter was closed. A relationship unexpectedly grew distant, and you did not understand why. You were once saddened by these things. But my child, not every delay is opposition. Sometimes it is the fence of my mercy. Sometimes it is my hand pulling you back from an abyss covered with beautiful flowers. Sometimes it is my angel standing in the way of a path you thought was favorable. For I have promised, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. What you call an interruption is often called deliverance in heaven. Remember the story of Balaam on the road as he followed his own will. The donkey beneath him suddenly turned aside, pressed against the wall, and then lay down, causing him to become angry because he thought it was hindering his journey. But when I opened his eyes, he saw my angel standing in the road, holding a sword in his hand. And the very animal that seemed stubborn was actually the means by which his life was preserved. Numbers 22. My beloved child, I tell you this so that you may understand that not every obstacle comes from the enemy. There are times when I use something very ordinary to keep you from something very dangerous. So when a path does not open, do not immediately become angry. Stop and ask me, Father, what are you protecting me from? What do you want me to see that I have not yet recognized? The enemy always wants you to hurry, because haste makes it easier for you to overlook my voice. It wants you to react out of emotion, decide from a place of woundedness, cling to the things I have warned you about, and return to the places from which I have called you to come out. But when you obey me, darkness loses the right to control the rhythm of your steps. My word says, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. And the strongest resistance is often not a loud shout, but a quiet heart that says yes to me. When you refuse what I have told you to avoid, when you remain silent before provocation, when you withdraw from an impure connection, when you choose forgiveness instead of nurturing poison in your heart, that is when my light within you blazes forth in a way the enemy cannot extinguish. I know there are things you do not want to let go of, not because you are rebellious, but because your heart once found comfort in them. There are people you still want to believe, even though I have shown you many times the signs that are not good. There are doors you still want to keep slightly open, even though every time you draw near, the peace within you departs. My child, I do not expose things to make you confused, but to set you free. I do not allow you to recognize deception so that you may live in suspicion, but so that you will no longer be bound by a kind outward appearance. For Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11:14. And therefore you need discernment that comes from me, not merely what you feel. When I tell you to stop, stop. When I tell you to leave, leave. When I tell you to guard your heart from a person or a place, do not argue with my eternal wisdom. But you must also hear me clearly. Obedience does not make you hard, cold, or proud. True obedience will make you more humble, more pure, and more peaceful. You do not need to go everywhere declaring who is right and who is wrong. You only need to walk according to the light I have given you. I will reveal what needs to be revealed. I will untangle what needs to be untangled. I will protect your honor when the time comes. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Exodus 14. Shorseth. That silence is not weakness. It is the mature faith of a child who knows that the Father does not fall asleep upon his throne. There are battles in which the more you try to control everything, the more exhausted your heart becomes. You want to explain, to fix, to prevent, to prove. But I am teaching you a higher way. Surrender control to me. When you lay everything at my feet and say, Father, let your will be done, not mine, you lose nothing. You are giving me the right to arrange what you do not have the strength to carry. It is in that surrender that my power has room to move. Jesus passed through Gethsemane with that prayer. And from that surrender, which seemed so painful, eternal redemption was opened. So do not see surrender as defeat. In my kingdom, the one who knows how to kneel before me is the one who is lifted under my protection. My child, if today your heart is standing before a choice, do not first ask what is easier, what is more profitable, or what will please people more. Ask what pleases me. Ask what keeps your soul pure. Ask what brings you closer to me. For no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. But that promise is tasted most deeply when you remain under the shadow of my wings, not running outside my covering by your own will. I have not called you to live in fear. I have called you to live in peaceful alertness, in strength with gentleness, and in obedience with joy. So let me lead you step by step. Do not despise the small prompting within your heart. Do not take lightly the dream that causes you to wake with a sense of warning. Do not ignore the wise counsel I send through someone with an upright heart. Do not grieve over something I am removing from your hand, because an empty hand before me will be filled with something better. My angels are still being sent forth. The doors that need to close will close. The traps that need to be exposed will be exposed. And the paths I have ordained will open at the right time. All you need to do is keep saying to me with all your heart, Father, I choose to obey. Wherever you go, I will follow. If you tell me to stop, I will stop. If you tell me to step forward, I will step forward. When those words become the rhythm of your life, you will realize that your life is not in the hands of darkness, nor is it ruled by chance, but it is kept in the hands of the one who loves you with a love that never fails. My beloved child, there are forms of help that outwardly look like kindness, but inwardly are tied with cords of demand. Not everyone who reaches out their hand to you truly wants to see you stand firm in my light. Some people draw near to you with an appearance of care, but deep within their heart they quietly place a scale. Today they give you this, and tomorrow they expect you to give them a position, a measure of influence, a dependence, or a gratitude that leaves you no longer free. I want you to understand this calmly, not fearfully. True kindness does not chain the soul of the one who receives it. Love that comes from me does not keep a hidden record of debt. As it is written, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not seek its own. And so, when kindness gradually turns into control, when a hand that once lifted you begins to tighten its grip around your life, it is no longer a pure spring, but a stream mixed with motives that are not upright. Perhaps you have wondered why certain things around you changed without your understanding the cause. A few eyes that were once warm suddenly became cautious. A few doors that were once wide open quietly closed. A few people who once stood close to you suddenly kept their distance. Not because of a clear conversation, but because they had heard something spoken in a gentle tone while carrying a sharp edge. You looked back at yourself, examined your heart, and blamed yourself, thinking perhaps you had done something wrong, lacked wisdom, or unintentionally wounded someone. I saw the nights when you carried that burden in your heart. I saw you trying to fix things you did not even know you had done. But my child, not every coldness comes from your mistake. There are words that have gone ahead of you like a thin smoke, slipping into the perception of others and causing them to look at you through glass that has been clouded. And today, I will not allow you to continue carrying a charge that does not belong to you. Even so, I have not called you to walk the path of heated reaction. When the truth begins to be uncovered, do not rush to take words into your hands like a sword to defend yourself. There are battles where the more you explain according to the flesh, the more your soul is pulled into a place of chaos. I am the one who defends you righteously, and my defense is not noisy in the way of man, but it is certain, like the sun rising after a long night. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. This word does not mean that you are passive before what is wrong. It means that you do not allow injustice to turn you into someone bitter. Your part is to guard your heart in purity, to speak the truth when I open the way, to remain silent when silence is wisdom, and not to let pain teach you to become like the very thing that wounded you. Remember Nehemiah when he rebuilt the wall of Jerusalem. That work was something I had placed in his heart. But Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem could not remain at peace when they saw restoration beginning. They did not only oppose him with outward force, they used rumors, letters, threats, and false invitations to pull him down from the work I had entrusted to him. They wanted him afraid, distracted, and stopped, so that he would step into an unnecessary argument. But Nehemiah answered with a steadfast spirit. He was doing a great work and could not come down. Do you see? There are people who do not need to destroy you through violence. They only need to make you leave the position where I have placed you. Leave your peace. Leave your focus. And leave the holy calling within your heart. Therefore, when twisted words arise, when people try to pull you into a cycle of proving yourself, remember that you too are doing a great work in me. Do not come down from the wall of obedience just to answer every noise below. When I bring the truth into the light, it will not always come in the way you imagine. Perhaps a word will be exposed in an unexpected moment. Perhaps someone who once remained silent will suddenly recount what they heard. Perhaps a small detail, a coincidence that seemed ordinary, or a conversation that was not arranged beforehand will become the missing piece that helps you understand the whole picture. Do not call all of this coincidence. I am the one who knows the path of the birds in the sky, who knows the number of hairs on your head, and who knows even the whispers spoken when you were not present. But I expose things not so that you may nurture satisfaction over another person's downfall, nor so that you may desire someone else to be humiliated. I bring the truth into the light so that you may be delivered from deception, so that invisible chains may lose their power, and so that you will no longer stand inside a connection that drains the life I have placed within you. There will be times when that person does not realize what they have sown, or they may realize it but try to cover it with tears, with skillful explanations, or with the appearance of being wounded in order to awaken your compassion. Let your heart remain tender before me, but do not become weak before manipulation. There is true repentance that bears the fruit of peace, humility, and change, but there is also regret that only appears when something has been exposed. As I have taught, be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. Innocence keeps you from malice, while wisdom keeps you from being pulled back into the old trap. You do not need to close your heart to everyone, but you do need to close the door of influence to the things that have repeatedly harmed your peace, your honor, and your spiritual journey. I also want you to look deeper than the surface of this story. You must not allow your heart to make that person the center of the battle. Scripture has reminded you that the real battle is not only in what the eyes can see, but in the unseen influences that seek to sow division, doubt, fear, and bitterness. Therefore, do not answer darkness with darkness. Do not respond to rumors with rumors. Do not use exposure as a weapon for a wounded ego. Pray for your heart to remain pure, so that when I cut off an unhealthy connection, you will not carry its poison into the new season. Cutting ties does not necessarily mean hatred. Walking away does not necessarily mean contempt. Setting boundaries does not mean a lack of love. Many times, boundaries are the very form of wisdom I give to protect what is holy within you. And when the things that were hidden gradually come to light, stand in the quiet confidence of one who knows that you belong to me. You do not need to beg others to believe you. You do not need to chase after each person to repair your image in their eyes. Those who are truly placed by me in your life will be led by me into understanding at the right time. And those who leave because of a distorted word, I will also use their departure to show you that the foundation of that relationship was never deep enough. Remember that your reputation in the hands of people may be shaken by gossip, but your identity in me cannot be touched by anyone. I call you my beloved child, the one who has been redeemed, the one who is being kept, the one I am leading through the narrow place into a wider space. Therefore, my child, do not tremble before the season of exposure. The light does not come to shame you, but to restore your freedom. The truth does not come to turn your heart into a battlefield, but to open the door for healing. Walk with your head lifted high, yet with a humble heart, with a mouth free from poison and a mind no longer obsessed with what others have said. I will teach you when to speak, when to remain silent, when to forgive, and when to walk away without looking back. What is toxic loses its power when you no longer feed it with fear. What is false loses its place when you choose to remain in the light. And when you let go of the bond that once exhausted you, you will realize that my grace was never far away. It had been waiting for you just on the other side of obedience.